Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's live stream. We are live and we are doing question time. Hold on, let me sort out the audio. Bring it down. Excellent. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me okay and everything's coming through nice and clear. Otherwise, just let me know. I'm sure you will do in chat. Yes, hello and welcome to question time, a live stream where you get to ask me any question you like about game dev, Unreal Engine, anything you really want really. All you got to do is put a question to chat. I'll try and grab as many questions as I can and answer them live here on the show. If I do miss your question, don't worry, just put it back into chat and I'll try and grab it again thereafter. A few things to not announce, kind of announce, more like a sneak peek really, behind the scenes of a few things. So doing a lot of really cool stuff whilst people are putting in their questions. So we were doing a lot of work on the website and where we go next with a various amount of things, including Mimic. So I thought I'd give you a little sneak peek about what you're going to see. And you can actually see stuff now on the website. It's a little bit different. So here's the newfangled website. It's still being updated in some areas, but most of it is kind of there. The Patreon videos are not updated for some reason, figuring that one out. But here we have numerous things. And the biggest change that's been added to this is probably the services option at the top. So I often get a lot of emails from you guys and others from all over the world, all over the industry about, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I come in and do a talk? Can I come in and help teach people and train people, do guest speaking, guest lecturing, whatever it may be. So now you can find details about all those services on here. This will be updated over time too. So obviously got private sessions still. If you don't know about that, we do private sessions, and we also do talks. So I'm doing a talk, doing a couple of talks. I'm doing one in Bristol, one in London, and one in India, all before the end of the year. And Train the Trainer, I've done recently a training exercise where I trained up a college of lecturers about how to best teach Unreal Engine to their students, and kind of looking at how to make the course STEM appropriate and how to best manage expectations of students and how to manage the classroom a little bit with their consulting work. As a lot of you already know, if you're watching this, we offer some consultation work with regards to Unreal Engine 5 development and some design things too. And then obviously freelance, again, some of you have taken advantage of that option and hired me to do some freelance work for you. So that is all there on the page, and this is all getting updated slowly but surely as you get there. There's a store button. So we are building together a store. So as you can see, there's the alert still there. It's going to be there available for you to click on and access. But you're going to start seeing stuff that is being sold directly by myself, both on Unreal Marketplace and on things like Gumroad. The first of which is a very highly easy to use interaction system, which will then go into an inventory system, which will go into other things that we're going to just sell with massive discounts to everyone as well. So you're going to find all that there centrally at that location too. Games wise, you can also find this as a way to link to the various pages of our games. So Mimic, for example, is on here with the trailer, screenshots, and you can click on read more and it'll take you to Mimic's actual website where you can see more about the game. Again, still being updated, worked on, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so that's all very exciting and going on there. So it's overall just a bit of a clean up, a bit of tidying up about just working it out and making things a bit more streamlined. But alongside this, there's something really exciting working on at the moment, and it's still very early days and we're still working through it, and that is the new learn platform. So I've been developing this. This has been an idea for the past couple of years, and I'm finally biting the bullet and trying to put it together. Basically a course platform where you can go and take courses. I'll be writing courses and putting them up there, designed at start by me, but we have total control over it and total freedom to deliver it how we want to deliver it, and as best as possible. And this is also going to be something we can offer to colleges and universities to give to their students and say, hey, do you want these students to have access to all these resources? Here you go. There'll be some free courses on there, so you'll be able to pick up new things all the time from this store. So there's something working on at the moment. So yeah, looking through the courses, I started putting it together. It's still very, very, very early, but you can see it's coming together just fine. Okay, so that's all looking very exciting on that side, and obviously more on that details as time comes. It's still very early. We'll see how it goes over time, but that's what we're working on over there too. In terms of Mimic news as well, Mimic will be shown at MCM Comic Con in London and EGX. So if you are going to MCM Comic Con in London, do go out and look for us. I'll be there all of 3 days, showing off Mimic and meeting people, greeting people, saying hello, grabbing a drink, whatever it may be. So yeah, come in and check that out. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, I saw people like saying that they've been trying to check out the Coursera stuff that was announced. So if you don't know the news, Epic hired me to make some courses for them and their course on their Coursera platform, which was going okay until I found out that the testing didn't really take place and lots of things got broken or just straight up didn't work. And I was like, oh crap, okay. And that's when people started alerting me to it, and I'm now going in and trying to fix it where I can, where I still have permissions to. So it ultimately stems from part of that one of the modules in that, or part of the modules in that got cut for various reasons. It got cut, but the questions remained from that module, which was annoying. So I've had to go through and manually try and take them out, and I think I've got them all, but there may be a few lingering ones in there. And as for the text recognition system that's in there, it doesn't really work too well. Like people would put in like indie or independent, and they may spell it wrong or put an S on the end, something like that, and it doesn't recognize it. So it's like they get a foul mark on it. It's like, yeah, it's not that great. So I'm trying to go through and I want to try and clean up a lot of that so people have less chance to fail at silly mistakes like that. Working out how to do that is really a thing. But yeah, anyway. So let's take a look at some of these questions that are coming through. Okay, so thank you, Chris M. Hi, Matt. How you doing? JM, best practice method for importing a data table and converting it into a data asset. I made a function, but it feels a bit clanky and hard coded. Converting a data table into a data asset. Do you mean when you say data asset? Do you actually mean a data asset? Like you're making this data asset. Is that what you're doing? And you're pulling from somewhere? Is that what you're talking about? As far as I know, there's no easy way to import that in. Straightforward way. So you kind of have to do it manually. Data table CSV into a data asset. Yeah, I don't think you can. Can you? I've never actually tried. I don't think you can. I mean, in theory, you could, because you're just taking each row and outputting each row as a data asset and creating asset. You'd have to make a utility widget, I think, to be able to do that. So, yeah. So if you don't know what utility widgets are, you can actually make blueprints that you can use inside your editor while you're making things to handle things like a data asset conversion thing. So in the editor utilities, you have a utility blueprint and a widget. So the blueprint is where the stuff goes, and then all the asset stuff will happen elsewhere. So we're going to do asset action utility, and it'll be, I mean, I'm not too up on this stuff, so we'll try and work it out. But create asset and create asset data. Here you're passing the asset. Yeah, okay. Can you do data asset like this? Get asset data, get class, full class, set create new asset for control rig, find asset data. I mean, it probably is a way to do it in here. I say I'm not too up on it. I need to look into it a bit more and not waste everyone's time rummaging through this. But you're looking at getting data table row like that, getting each row, and then you'd want to create a data asset. The data asset would probably have to be a struct inside of it to enable smooth transition over, because if a data table is a struct that has got rows on it, so it's easy enough to get the struct out, because that's what this will be, and then inserting that into a data asset should theoretically be possible. I don't know, it's something to look into, but I'm sure there's a way to do it through one of these things. Yeah. Next. No problem, Igidus. I'm sure it'll come back to you. Oh, cryogenic, yeah, make a utility widget, yeah. Where's the right place? This is from Lee Hall. Where's the right place for creating UI widgets? I noticed that in some it's created in the player character and others in the player controller. Yeah, this does vary based upon who's doing it and how lazy and how quick they are. I can be lazy a lot of the time too. So we'll go through the official way and some side-off ways of doing this stuff. So on your player controller, well, first of all, you can put them anywhere you like. There are pros and cons to those different locations, though. So the player character is usually people's first point of call when they start making this stuff. I try not to do it on the player character if I can help it, and that is because the player character is not a safe actor to put in, because the player character can be destroyed, but the player can still remain in the game, and so you don't want the UI to disappear or break or get invalid. Or loses references because the player character died and respawned, or got into a car, got out of a car, those sort of things. So a safest place is on the player controller. The player controller is consistent, it doesn't go away, it sticks around, and yeah, it sticks around, and it's generally a safer place to put. Even if you were to change pawns or whatever, it's not going to go anywhere. But there's an even better way of doing it, because there's lots of little functions inside of Unreal to handle like automatic hiding and pausing and deactivating and activating of UI elements. And the best place for this is with the HUD class. So if you make a blueprint class and search for HUD, you get HUD class, and we'll call it BP my HUD, and you can assign this HUD to your game mode and player controller. So you can do it either place. So for example, if I go into this first person game mode over here, you can change the HUD class here to my HUD. And the HUD class is designed as sort of a good space to put things like heads-up display and put them all on there. And another good reason to put it on there is because of things like if you want to hide the HUD or anything like that, you can easily get access to the HUD from the player controller. It's part of the player controller, so you can just do get HUD like that, and now you can do things with the HUD class over here. And so if I just search for functions for the HUD class, if I just type in maybe HUD, you got, yeah, set show HUD, show overlays, hitbox, debugs, all that stuff is on there. But you also can do drawing and things like that on it. It's just generally a nicer place to put stuff. You can also, it also turns it off and on when you do hide HUD in the level sequence. So it's a little bit nicer place to put things. It's just a blueprint like any other place. It's just a specialized one for that. Yeah, and there's nothing really special about it. Like if I go into that HUD class, if you're ever curious about what kind of special features a class has that you've never used before, just go to the functions, click on override, and anything that's got the HUD, in this case HUD, they're the ones that are unique to this class. So hitbox, clicked, blah blah blah, that's all okay. over here, but and draw in HUD. So that's more like if you want to draw a HUD on the screen rather than use UMG. Don't know why who would, but you can do it like that as well through here too. But yeah, this is where I put most of my stuff if I can help it. And if I've got widgets that are reliant on another widget, so let's say, for example, we've got windows we want to open up, and I click on a button that's going to open a sub window. That sub window is going to be managed by the main window. And so if I were to close the main window, that would close the sub window too. And it just keeps it a bit tidier, makes the flow a lot easier to track, and you're not dancing all over the place trying to find out where things are. So trying to keep organized on top of that will help out a lot. But yeah, that's generally where I put them. But yeah, people tend to put them all sorts of places. I'm guilty for that too. Yeah. But the HUD, yeah, HUD class is still used, yeah. Duo Septimdra. How do I attach my character to a spline and move it along the spline? Okie dokie. For this, I'm going to bring in the third person feature pack. So let's go third person, add that to project. Couldn't find the quest system project in the thing. It should be there. I'll double check after I've finished here tonight. It should be. Yeah, go here. Okay, so let's go through the spline idea. So you need a spline, obviously, but your player character also needs a reference to that spline. And what you may actually find yourself doing more so is putting a lot of the logic on the spline even, because it's a bit tidier, I guess. So we make the spline actor. We'll call it a movement spline. And we'll add a spline to it. There we are. Okay. And on the event graph for this spline, I want it to first of all get hold of the player character. We need a reference to the player character. So get player character. And with the player character, we need it to follow the spline. So to follow the spline, we need to get its direction. Okay, which way is it going? And so for that, we're going to get the spline. And we're going to find the closest, which is a very useful set of functions inside splines. We can find the closest direction closest to world location. Okay, like that. And I'm going to change the coordinate space here to world coordinates. Very important. But the world location here is going to be the player character's actor location. So let's just put that in there. So it doesn't have to be exactly where the player is, just roughly where the player is. It'll find out what way is the closest. And then we would get this return value. And this is going to be what you're going to clamp your, or constrain your movement to. So I'm going to get my player character, get the character movement component, which is there. And then we're going to do set constrained, plane constraint normal. And the normal is going to be the direction that this is going in. I think. X is forward, so I want to move in the X. No, I want to find out what's inverse of this. So we're going to do 1 minus... Oh, I think it's the inverse of this. I'll double check it. Yeah, I'm pretty certain it is. I'll double check myself now. 1 minus that, and that goes into there. And on begin play, we're also going to do set constrained enabled. But this plane constraint normal needs to happen on a tick, so I'm actually going to move it off of there. And oh, didn't do that. Because it needs to update it the whole entire time while the player's moving. So just do it here. Like so. Okay. That should do it. So if I were to put in my spline, and we'll put that in there, and we'll just draw out a spline here. Do that. Do that. Do that. This is also a good technique for cameras if you want your camera to track the player too. So I'm just going to hold down forwards. And it's not worked at all. Playing straight normal. Why is that not working? Oh, I didn't tick the enabled box. Sorry. Would help. Right. Just going to push forwards. Okay, kind of working. It's wrong direction though. So I'm guessing I forgot to do something here. Direction. I swear that was. Maybe, oh, maybe it's not 1 minus. Maybe it is just this. We'll check. I always forget which way round like normal works. Yeah, no, it's not that either. God damn it. So you have to flip the X and Y round. So the way normal works, then it must be if you put a 1 in that axis, that's locked that axis. So I need it to flip the X and Y round. So we're just going to break that. Make that. Z doesn't matter. It's just X and Y. Right. So push forwards, and you can kind of see it. Ah, no. This is probably the 1 minus thing coming into it now. Where it's flipped. No, why would it do that? Bum 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 bum. Yeah. It's like the Y coordinate is backwards. We'll try multiplying that by -1. There you go. Yeah. And now I'm locked. I'm coming off the edge here. But as it moves, it will find whatever's closest to it and move our character along that spline there. And if you want it so that the movement is locked to that spline, so at the moment I can still push W, A, S, and D, and it will like fight it, but it won't go anywhere. If you go to your player character, when you got left and right movement, if I were to do like forwards, I want forwards just to follow the spline no matter what. On the forward and backwards, rather than doing that, I'm just going to get the constraint normal. So get constrained normal. I think, is that right? I think it might be right. I might have to flip it the other way around. Yep, I have to flip it the other way around. It might be just the right vector of it then. If I just make the right vector of the normal. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. Let me just try that out. I want to find the right vector closest to world location. We'll try that instead rather than direction. World. In there. Right, well, okay. So that's more to do with my movement over here. Put that back in there. Yeah, okay, it's the right vector you want. So the right vector off the spline is what you want to constrain it to. So the movement-wise would be then the left vector of that. So you want to do right vector. No, not right vector. You want to, oh crap, make rot. We could probably just do it from Y. And then from there, get forward vector. We'll see. Nope. Plane constraint normal. We'll just do, oh, we'll make rot from X. then get the right vector. This will probably have to be multiplied by -1 to turn it back the other way. I'm going to imagine. And that go back into what direction? So now if I just push forward or backwards, it should just go along that line. So I'm just holding down W now. There you go. And hold down S. Yeah. And if I move the camera around, it still follows that line pretty well. Yeah. Regardless of what I'm doing. Okay. And the splines that's on it. So the thing you have to be aware of though with the spline is the height of it won't affect it, because obviously the character can't fly. So it just constrains them to that plane. So the height of it doesn't really matter. Which could be a good thing and a bad thing, depending on what you're trying to achieve. But yeah, but you can still jump and things. That's not a problem. So we can go completely on rails type shooter-esque design. Do that. And if, by the way, you ever... I'll show you another trick you can do with splines that people don't know about too much. With these splines, you can go to any of these points, right-click on it, and go spline point type and change it to linear. And it makes it straight on that edge there. And if I tell you that to every single one of them... that's my point. Linear. You get sharp turns. So we should get a sharp turn out of this as it comes off on this thing. And then I can drag that out like that. We'll convert this one to linear. And then the rest I'll do over here. And now I can just push forwards. My character will just go up. Oh. Why did that? Oh. I also want it, if I'm doing it this precise, I need to make sure the player character is starting on that line as well. So what I should do on that movement spline is on begin play. Set the actor location. Oh my god. To 0.1 on the spline. Get location at spline point. World. Got that now. So your player will start on the line. Okay, now it'll work. I'm just holding down W. I'm jumping when I have to jump. Yeah. So you can make an on-rail shooter type thing. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. How do you ever could do something like a race position system? So using the spline system, and if you've been developing a kart series, we use a spline to handle the track. You can also get the progress someone has made along a spline, and so you can work out who's ahead of who. That's about it, really. Yeah, so if you go to any of the spline actors, you can get, is it progress? No, percent? I forget what it's called now. Get... There is. Where is it? Time. Get location. Distance. Oh, no. So, I remember now. You have to just get distance along spline. Yeah. Get distance along spline at location. And then you normalize that against the length of the spline. And that's how you get the percentage. Yeah. Sorry. There you go. Let me scroll down. Sorry. Okay. Next question. Braha. For mobile platform, is using 2K texture recommended for visuals? Highly unlikely. I don't even know. Do they even support? Oh, yeah, they do support. They do support 2K textures. So what size texture you use depends heavily on the asset you're making it for. So if your asset is small on the screen and not going to take up a lot of space, don't use high res textures. If it's going to be very large, always on screen, maybe do use a high res texture. But no, I can't imagine any reason why you'd want to keep it for 2K for most cases. It'd be mostly, yeah, all that stuff. How do I make a camera with more than 180 field of view to use in sequencer? Is that? I don't even know if that's possible. Let's take a look. So go to sequencer. Yeah. Add camera. So field of view. Just search for it. Field of view. Where is it? Oh, it's labeled as FOV. Okay. Oh, what can I do? Focal length. Oh, that's why. Focal length. There we go. So the FOV in a cinematic camera is handled by the focal length. If you were, by the wording of your question, I'm guessing you're using a normal game camera. But 180, I don't know if you can actually get one. The problem with the cine cameras is that they are designed to replicate real-life cameras and lenses, and as far as I know, no, you can't type in anything else either. You can't do that. Let me just check something on normal cameras rather than cinematic cameras, because I can't say I've ever tried. So finding out. So I've got a field of view. You sometimes with these sliders, as a little tip here, yes, there'll be a limit to how far you can drag it. Sometimes, not all the time, you can actually type in a higher value. So here I can type in a higher value of 300, maybe do 360. Let's see what that looks like with a 360 view. Yep, absolute nonsense. So you can do it. It doesn't like it by looks of it. Let me do 270. Let's do something like not 360, but less than. So we're getting some weird, I don't know, some odd behavior here. I don't know how, like, this is some weird ass trippy stuff. I guess that's not meant to happen. I don't know how, why, I don't even understand the science behind that. But so you can type in a lot higher values. Probably not recommended. So yeah, stick to 90 or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, you can type in a lot of stuff. That setting that you're seeing, if you ever wanted and you wanted to do something similar with your own variables. So let's say I made a float down here. That is why you have a slider range and a value range. The slider range is the limit of that slider, but the value range is how far you can actually type in a value. So the slider range could be like 0 to 1, but I could make the value range go from 0 to 10. All right. And if I were to now go to this slider here, I can drag this out and go to 1, but I can actually just type in like 8 and it'll work. But if I type in 12, it won't. It will clamp it to 10. So that's what that setting's doing. If you ever wondered, that's what that does. Metshish. Not really a question, but more like an idea for a live stream. Okay, hit me. Something about sounds overall. Basically, my knowledge is just play sound at location. We could do. I've done a variety of sound tutorial videos, but yeah, maybe a live stream on it might be a good idea. I'm not a sound expert, but I know a fair bit about the system that's on there. Oh god. Um, I won't forget about you, Daniel. I'll check after the live stream. I've got a private session after the live stream, and then I'll have a look. How Matthew Aguilar? Good question. How do I determine where some logic or blueprints should live? You're trying to not throw everything in the player class, as you shouldn't. There is no hard and fast rule, first of all. But there are a few things that will make your life easier. And when it comes to programming, when I say about optimizing programming, most of the time I'm talking about optimizing you, the programmer, not necessarily the game. Like game programming, optimization is very low on the list of things to worry about, because there's plenty of other reasons why your game would perform badly, mostly to do with rendering. But in terms of programming, it all comes down to your own optimization. What will make your life easier, smoother experience going forwards. So I try to stick to a couple of rules. First of all, try to split up things as much as possible. So the more piecemeal it is, modular it is, more broken into functions it is, the cleaner, easier it is to manage and access. Make use of functions to make your life a lot easier, and try to avoid duplication of elements of what you're trying to make. So, for example, if you are doing a damage system on the player character, and the damage the player is receiving is going to output and take away their health, fine. But then you want to say show a widget on the screen which shows the number pop up on the screen. It doesn't make sense to separate that widget from the damage system that's already there on the player. If you were to put that on something else, like the player HUD or whatever, and then make that bind an event to the player damage, and when they receive damage, and calculating the damage again, and output, you're duplicating the same problem. And the issue that rises from that is most of the time programming errors are human errors. And if you've got the same function twice, if you mess up in one, you've got to mess up in the other. And if you make a fix in one, you may forget to fix it in the other. So try to avoid that issue too. But try to think about where things, like what would make your life easier as a programmer all the time. So for example, this movement spline, why did I put this stuff on the movement spline, even though I'm referencing directly the player character? If I could do it another way, I could make it so the player character references the spline. So it all depends on like how you plan on using this thing. So for example, this would really only work if this spline is the only spline the player character is following. If we had multiple splines and the player could pick which one they go to, then it becomes trickier because the player character has to have agency about which one they're following. So the agency belongs to the player character, not the spline. In this case, we only had one, so I just did it on the spline. So if it's the other way around, then it would be the player needs to get a reference to the spline. And then the question arises like, okay, how do we get that reference? What is that point of call for that? Is it a collision? Is it a trigger? Is it a timer? Is it whatever? And that'll pick the right spline for the right time. So it does come into also thinking forwardly as well about how you think your game levels can be made, and how your game's going to be constructed overall, which will come to you in time and practice, and experimentation and messing around with things like that. But yeah, try to split up things as much as possible. Spread them out. Don't make your life harder. Make it easier. Spread them out. A good rule of thumb as well is whenever you do like an input, like IA jump, for example, it's a good idea to put whatever you're going to chuck onto here, collapse it into a function, because then you can actually call it outside of the jump key. Otherwise, what you have to do is do what we call an injection, where you have to inject an input command, which is a bit more hassle. You have to get the player controller, then you get the enhanced input system, and got to spell it right first of all. And then from there, you can, I think it's just from here, do inject input for action, set the action, jump, whatever modifiers you want to add to it, whatever values you want to send over to it, you can do. And that will then trigger this. Right. That's a bit wordy. It's easier just to make it a separate function. So yeah. There you go. Igidus, how to get a component without casting. What kind of component are you trying to get? Best way to attach a Niagara effect to an enemy character after it has spawned. I have a reference to the actors via traces, but can only attach the Niagara to a component. Yes. So, a couple of things. If your enemy is a character, there's a few things you can guarantee your class has. That will be a mesh, character movement, or whatever else, like of these ones. Okay, that is a guarantee. So you could do something like this. I'm just gonna do it here. I'm gonna spawn system at location, or attached rather. We'll do that, and I want to attach to a component. Let's say we've got hit component over here, hit event like that. You're going to get the other actor from here, and you want to attach it to their component. You can get components by doing get component by class and search for it here. So in terms of a character, if you've only got one skeletal mesh on it, you could just do get skeletal mesh component, chuck it onto there, and it'll return the first skeletal mesh it finds on here. The problem with that though is obviously if you've got multiple skeletal meshes, that makes a problem. So if that is the case, you could also make your own component and plug it in. You could do an interface to handle the getting of the target that you're going to attach it to. You can cast to it. Casting's totally fine. So I've mentioned in my casting optimization video, casting to enemy character, or whatever you're doing here, new blueprint, is generally okay. So the thing that's expensive with casting, it has to load up that function, that blueprint at the same time. So if I go to that movement spline, where have I put it? Just go down here. There you go. And go into size map. And we go to memory size. And game. Why is that not coming up? That should come up with more than that. Compile, save. Right. Should come up. I think I probably have to plug something actually into it, but it would actually come up with like two things in here. Like it would come up with double width. However, if that thing is already loaded in memory because it exists in the world, it's not going to cost you anything really. It has a little processing overhead, but in terms of memory, it's loading in. Not much at difference. So yeah. But otherwise, use the interface, handle it. That can do it as well. And also you can more freely attach it to something. Yeah. You could do like a generic interface that you want to add to your thing. Like you could do an interface like this, and get component to attach to. Okay, and the output for that could be a component, and we'll choose a scene component. If you ever wondered what the difference is between a scene component and an actor component, is a scene component has a transform, a character component does not. So for example, the character movement component is a actor component, whereas a skeletal mesh is a scene component. Did I do that right? That's a scene capture component, that's wrong. Scene component. I thought I picked the wrong one. There we go, scene component. like that. Yeah, and then on your enemy, you just put in your interface, new interface there, and it'll get this function, which you then plug in whatever component you want it to attach to. Yeah, and on the spline, you just, rather than casting it, you can just do get attach component to attach to. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Next question. I saw one. What was it? Problem with your functions, somehow you always needed timelines or delays. You can't put that in a function, so I use custom events. Yeah, so yeah, obviously you can't use latent nodes in a function. But if you're relying, timelines obviously are really useful, and obviously would be an event. Delays have their uses, but it's mostly to ensure that event racing doesn't happen. So events, it's kind of confusing to explain, but when you fire off two events, they could fire off at different speeds based upon what's happening on them, and you can slow one down with a delay, for example. Mostly useful in like multiplayer scenarios, so funny enough. But most of the time you can get by without a delay and just use a timer, which is totally fine to use. Difference as well with a delay versus a timer is a delay is based on, and same with tick, are based on your oh no, delay's not. Delay's based on your clock. Tick's based on your frame rate. So yeah. Trying to chase down the first part of questions. Real-time Fat Man. How would I like to make a monitor connect to multiple security cameras that you can swap between? Okie dokie. So, for this, we need to make, first of all, the security cameras. So, actor, VP, security camera. And our security camera is going to be a scene capture, like so. And this will require a texture. Now, the problem with this security camera is you will need to assign multiple render targets to it. So you can't just create one and set it in here. You need to make it a variable to set. So we're going to create multiple render targets. So we can go to material, is it material? No, miscellaneous. Can't remember where it is now. No, where is it? Media. Texture. There you go, texture. Render target. And we'll do cam 1. And duplicate that, cam 2. Duplicate that again, cam 3. And we'll do 4. There you go. And I want to assign these to this thing over here. So I'm going to go to the macro, the variables, and give it the render target as a variable. And then set that to a render target 2D. Make it editable. And in the construction script, we're going to get our component scene capture and set the render target. No, what's it called? Set texture target. Hang on. Set texture target to our render target. Oh, what type is this? Texture render target 2D object. Okay. Texture render target 2D. There we go. Yep. There we go. So that's the first thing. Next thing is it works very much like a real life sort of camera, really, because you've got to have cameras and you've got to set up a thing that's going to receive all these cameras, like a receiver kind of thing. And that's going to sort of manage it. in some fashion. So I'm going to put one there. We'll put another one over here. And what'll be actually easier to do this on, I'll show you. If you just right click on it and go pilot, I can now position the camera exactly where I want it. Eject out of it. Pilot this one. Like that. There you go. So now I've got those 4 cameras. And on each of these 4 cameras, I can set up what texture target's going to use. So I'm going to chuck this one into this one. This one is going to use cam 2. This one is going to use cam 3. And this one's going to use cam 4. Okay. Next, we're going to go create the UI. So we're going to go to widget, cam viewer, and this is going to be the thing that receives all those feeds and allows a cycle through it. So you've got a few ways you can actually achieve this. You can do it with a widget switcher, you can do it with a material, you swap out the material, you can do it with a material, say swap out the texture parameter, whatever you like. There's a few ways of doing it. So I'm going to show you the simplest way, which will probably just be a widget switcher. But by all means, use whatever you like. There's loads of ways of doing this one. So I'm putting a widget switcher. And in there, we're going to put in an image. And we're going to put in a material. And so I'm going to make a material out of these in here. And so we're going to go and create material. There you go. For each one. You don't have to do it like this. You could do it else with just one material, swap it out, whatever you like. But saving time, let's just change this over to these guys. Okay, so first image, brush, cam 1, duplicate that, this one will be cam 2, this one will be cam 3, oh, and this will be cam 4, okay, and away we go. Now, these 4 are always capturing at the same all at the time. Now, obviously, we aren't viewing all 4 of them. We're only viewing one of them. So, if you wanted to, you can also make it so it turns them all each off. So, to do that, we're going to go into the graph over here, and actually, could we do it that way? Yeah, screw it, we can do. So we're going to add the cameras to our thing over here. So, oh no, should we? Screw it. I'll show you this way, and then I'll talk about the other ways. Yeah, so you're just going to have the current index set up like this. Integer, and you can go widget switcher, set active widget. Oh, widget index, set active widget index. There you go. And that'll be set to 0. And then you make buttons that will change the index up and down one by one. So on top of that, we're going to right click, wrap with overlay. And the widget switcher, we'll just put in the center and scale these up. We'll do 10, 24, 10, 24. Right. And I'll put in a horizontal box in my overlay. Button here. This is going to be stretched out like that, like that. And we'll put in another button. Actually, what I could do is I could actually put the widget switcher in the middle, like that. Maybe like that. And not use the overlay. Cool. The buttons here, set that to fill. There we go. For lack of a crude UI, that'll do. So this button will be the previous button, so I'm just going to do the click event for that. And that'll be current index, subtract 1. And in this case, you're going to take the widget switcher, get, is valid? Is that one already in here? No. Get all, get children, get child at index here. So current index -1, you plug that into current index. There's no valid child, is there? No. So you do this, you check if that is valid. Oh, do the other one. Oh no, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do it with the array. Get all children is valid index. Plug that in there, and that'll be in a select int. If it is valid, it'll pick A, which will be this one. If it's B, it will go back to the end, which will be the last index in here. So last index of the children there. We set to that. Okay. And then we'll take this and set that up with the right one there. And the other button is exactly the same. It's just the other direction. So we're going to take all of this, and instead of minus, we'll do plus 1. And in this case, you want to say if it is a I missed that one. It's valid index. There you go. If that's valid index, pick A. If it's not valid, then it will go back to the beginning and pick 0. So don't need that one. And then the rest is this. So just put that on there. Like that. Okay. That's going to cycle through all that stuff there. Let's just set up my player controller to actually show the mouse cursor to true, and set input mode to UI so we can actually see what we're doing. Done. And then we'll add this to the game. We'll do it on the controller. That's a game mode. Oh, just do it the game mode. Click in play. Create widget. Cam viewer. Add to viewport. So yeah, there's our view of our game character, and I can cycle through the different cameras like so. The picture quality is bad because the default size for render targets is really small. You can increase that if you want, but that's how you cycle between those. Downside to this though, this current setup is that each camera is rendering all the time. So ideally what we'd have is a manager which sort of manages which camera's on at all times. How are we doing for time? I'm running out of time. So you'd have an actor in here, cam manager, and that will have a reference to all the cameras as an array. BP security camera array, made it editable, and you can make them all off by default. So security camera, we can say wrong one, there you go. Capture every frame, I'm going to turn off. And then on the cam manager, you're going to have a function called activate camera, and we'll get the cameras, get a copy, plug that into there, and in the cameras here we're going to turn the camera on. So you can do it directly or make a function in your camera. Let's do a function, activate camera, here, activate camera. On here, we'll tell our thing here to capture. Turn capture on. Activate camera. We'll turn that. We'll put that in there as well. As is active. There you go. But because they're all doing the same thing, and only one of them has ever been active, you only need one texture then, and one material. So you can just swap in that material rather than swapping out the buttons. So if I go to cam 1 here and go to the camera and just set them all to use that, by taking this bit off. And change that to cam 1. There you go. Because they're going to override each other, so you don't need it rendering all the time. Obviously, you want the first method if you're going to have like multiple cameras viewable at the same time. But if you're only viewing one, it don't matter. So we have this activate camera, doing that. Then the cam manager is handling that. The cam manager then on begin play is going to create our widget. Create widget. Choose the cam viewer. Add to viewport. I'll take that off the game mode now. And in the cam manager, you want to send over a reference to the cam manager to the cam viewer. So on the cam viewer here, we're going to add a reference to our cam manager. Cam manager reference, make editable, exposed on spawn. Back on here, if I refresh the node, I can plug in self now. And that now knows about our camera manager. So when this comes through, and when I'm doing set active widget index, I don't need to do that anymore. I can just get rid of all these and just put in just the one. Like that. And get rid of that. Stuff there. Keep that bit. But this stuff I can get rid of. And what I want to do instead now, when I click the buttons, is get my cam manager. Get the camera references, get cameras, and current index, we can mess about that still, so that'd be subtract this one, subtract 1, is valid index, if it is valid, great, otherwise, last index, yeah. Sets current index here, and then rather than changing the widget switcher, what we're doing is we're telling the cam manager to activate camera and activating that one. Okay, and so same deal over here. I'm just going to get rid of that. Put in here, and then this one we'll take that, delete that, put that there. So I'm rushing because I'm out of time. There we go. And just make sure that this one's set to use the correct material, which it isn't. Cam 1. There we go. And then on the cam manager, we're going to make it on begin play. Call our activate camera on dimension 0. So then all I've got to do, my cam manager, is pop that into my scene. Cam manager. Is pop that into my scene, and I'll give it all the cameras I want over here. So I'm gonna pick that one, that one, that one, and that one. So there you go. And it not working. Why is that not working? Manager. That's all changed. That's correct there. That's correct there. Capture every frame. Activate camera. Did I not call that? Oh, no. What have I done? Okay, camera. Activate camera. Ah, tick box. There you go. Yeah. We also need to deactivate the camera as well. So we need to get the previous one. So what we'll do there is promote that to a variable and plug that in there. But before that happens, we're going to get the existing variable, get that, and deactivate that camera. So deactivates the old one first before it turns on the new one. Turn it off. Turn it on. Okay. And yeah, now try it. There you go. I can now cycle through the cameras. But it's a lot more efficient way. Now we're only rendering it once, not 4 times. Yeah. So yeah, you can do fun stuff with that. And say if you ever wanted to say increase that quality of video footage, that is easy enough to do. You just go into your texture here, and you see by default it's 256 by 256. Just change that to 1024 by 1024, and you're gonna get a much sharper image. Yeah, and if you want to do some special effects on it, let me go to a cam over here. Right, there you come up. And you want to make it like a grayscale, you can just desaturate it. And you've now got a black and white camera. If you want to make it like night vision-y, you can multiply that by a green. And you now got a green. Like that. Yeah. Fun things. And obviously keep on going. You can just do like scan lines, for example. So I could do a scan line like this. I can take this, mask that out just for the G, and then I'm going to sine wave it to get that. Put in there 0.05. Get loads of lines. And I'm going to lerp. That'd be the alpha. That'll be A. Doesn't really matter which way around we do this. And we're going to multiply that then by 0. No, we'll do 1.2. So it's a bit brighter. So you get the lines like that. And then I just pan it. Pan up. And 0.1. Scan lines. Yeah. So you can do really fun things like that. I've got a video coming out soon for patrons, by the way, about how to make different types of patterns with just math nodes in materials. So keep an eye out for that. If you're a Patreon member, that'll be coming probably next week. It's been recorded, just needs to be edited. Yeah, and you can knock up stuff like this quite quickly and easily. That will have to do, unfortunately, for today, as I've got to go off and do a private session with someone. So, as always, there's so many questions I wish I could answer, and I sadly don't have the time to. But we'll be back again next Wednesday for another live stream question time. We're back again as well tomorrow for a live class session. I don't know what it's going to be about yet, so we'll figure that one out. We could do sounds, I guess. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Yeah, keep an eye out for that and join us tomorrow. Yeah, should be good. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.